Recently, Big Dan and Greg Souders had a pretty one-sided debate about ecological training versus drilling reps. Greg seemed to be the only one prepared for this debate, and Dan just sat there and threw out a couple NPC lines every half hour or so and looked stupidly at the camera. This debate had some tension, and understandably Greg was a little offended because Big Dan called his life's work bullshit and Gordon called it retarded. So yeah, he came in ready to freaking blast. So after not getting much from this debate, and after watching some of Greg's videos on his standard jiu-jitsu page, I decided to see what this ecological stuff was about. I'm still very confused about what it's about, but I think I have a little bit of better understanding of it now. Maybe. I don't know. Ecological is based around task-based games with constraints. Greg gives a goal for each man in a certain position and they work the position. Each player has limitations of what they can do in the position, and there's like a goal or a way to win each position, and once you win, you reset. And there's a winning position for each man. So, for example, we're doing open guard. My goal as the bottom guy is to make connections and establish inside position and make the guy fall. That's my way to win. The guy on top's way to win is to keep the feet off you and flank around, just keep the feet off you, okay? So that's the game for open guard in one of his videos that I watched. What I like about his approach is it teaches concepts better. Learning a detailed leg lock sequence from start to finish can be confusing as hell. This system breaks down each component of the sequence and simplifies it for a beginner to understand much better. For example, you work on, in the leg lock sequence, you work on establishing connection first from open guard. Then you work to getting inside position. Then you work to entangle him and off balance him. Then you work on your finishing mechanics. All those are broken down into games and simplified for the learner instead of just doing it all at once and being overwhelmed with so much information and feeling like you have to do the technique exactly right. Also, what I like about it is that in the heat of a live roll, you can't really be thinking about the details of a technique, all right? Like, everything happens so quickly, you can't be like, I gotta put my foot here, I gotta put my hand here, I gotta be at a 45-degree angle. I think they kept on talking about this angle of the elbow or whatever. And so, yeah, if you think too much, you get fucked and you get your guard passed, or, you get swept or something. So you can't be thinking, you gotta keep it simple. I've experienced this type of training personally in wrestling. It just wasn't called ecological training, right? In high school and college, we would do similar drills, but we just say it was sparring from particular positions. It's more of an active drilling versus a passive drilling. And what I mean by that is active drilling is the partner's providing resistance instead of just being a dummy like he is in passive drilling. And so in active drilling, you could start in a certain position. If I was struggling to finish a single leg on the mat, we would start the partner would let you get in on the single leg on the mat, and then from there he would provide resistance, and you would work it out, and you'd have a goal to, the coach would be like, you got to get both your knees behind your partner's leg and shuffle the leg to finish. And so that would be my goal. We would troubleshoot it with our partner as he was giving live resistance, and that would expose our weaknesses in the technique, and then we would work on that and get better at it. So I feel ecological is very similar to active drilling, active sparring from certain situations, and I feel this isn't exactly a new concept, but it just has a more terminology around it and a little bit more specificity when it comes to ecological instead of being just active drilling, active sparring from certain positions. And so I really liked it. It keeps you more engaged in drilling and keeps your reps, you get higher quality reps, because in grappling, guys aren't just gonna fall over for you. You gotta do it with some resistance and know how to do it against a resisting opponent, right? So that is great for it. It also allows people to figure out what works for their body type, because, like, there's a common goal, but how you get to that goal can be different from everybody, right? Depending on your strengths and weaknesses. Like, some of us are really fast, some of us are really strong, some of us are really flexible. It just allows you to kind of play and figure out what suits your body type, and that's also a huge benefit. Like, the goal remains the same for everybody, but how you get to that goal, there could be a ton of different ways, and that's the beauty of this system. It allows each person to figure out what works best for them. However, I do think drilling, or more so like passive drilling, should not be ignored. I think it is also a crucial benefit to your training, and if you don't do it, then you're missing out on some huge gains in, like, as a grappling athlete. First of all, it's great for conditioning, okay? When you do it at a high speed, high intensity, going like as many reps as you can in a short period of time, it's this great sport specific conditioning. Like, like, running doesn't replicate it, lifting weights doesn't replicate it. There's no better way to get in shape for your sport than hitting sport specific drills at a high intensity with lots of reps. Like, that'll get you in great shape. And that's why, like, wrestlers are in such great shape, because they drill crazy hard and they rep it out, just boom, 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 keep going, getting the motor going. Because if you can hit a friggin' 100 double leg takedowns in a minute, then you can sure as shit hit 10 double legs in a match. You'll be well conditioned to execute your move in the match, and I feel like that's super important. It's great to get great conditioning. Also, another benefit is that passive drilling, it's less risk for injury. When you're doing live training or even situational training, like, you're at more high of a risk of getting injured, because both guys are going full throttle, full 100%, and you're more than likely to pull something or tear something. Whereas passive drilling, you're not going 100%. Not everything's you're not using every muscle fiber to defend a shot or a takedown or a guillotine or whatever. You're more relaxed, and that's less risky for injury. You could also get more time on the mats, okay? If you do live training all the time, you're going to get exhausted. Like, that is going to wear your body down, and you can only spend so much time on the mat. Whereas if you do, like, passive drilling, or it's kind of slow things down and work on technique, then you can spend more hours on the mat, and more mat time will get you better at jiu-jitsu. The more mat time, it's probably like Mikey Musumeci drills 10, 12 hours a day, dude. He's not doing that all live training. He's drilling. There's videos on the internet of him drilling. He's just repping out these movements, barabolos and whatnot, and dude's a freaking beast. So if he does it, I mean, there's got to be something to it. And so, yeah. The other thing too is, like, drilling is a really good warm-up before you get into your live situational drilling, and, like, it's a sport-specific warm-up that's not like jogging around in circles and doing all this other, like, calisthenic stuff. Like, you're actually making the most of your training time by getting in there and hitting sport-specific movements and getting the repetition and the muscle memory before getting into your live situational training. It's a good way to warm up your muscles and prevent getting injured, like I talked about before. So drilling is important to warm up as well, and it's getting more reps into the move, getting more comfortable with the movement of jiu-jitsu. And then also another thing, I've already kind of said this once or twice, but it builds muscle memory, right? Like, if you've hit 1,000 reps of a certain movement and you just hit it again and again and again, when you see the opening, when you feel it, you felt it in drilling, when you see the opening in live or in a match, you don't even have to think about it. Your body just takes over and you hit it, because you've hit it so many times in the practice room. I've drilled so many freaking double legs and high crotches over the span of my 20-year wrestling career that, like, you just know when it's open, and you don't even have to think about it. You don't even hesitate. You just go. And that's the, like, importance of drilling. It's just creating that muscle memory, creating the good habits when you're drilling too, hitting each rep perfect. So when you do, you don't have to think about where your knee positioning is or where your head positioning is. Your body just automatically and instinctively does it. And that's what you do when you passively drill. At the end of the day, though, drilling and ecological training is both great methods of training. Like, however, if you're only doing one or the other, then you're missing out on some huge gains. The best approach, I think, is to do a mix of both, and, like, there's a saying in weight training where it's like the best exercise is the one you aren't doing. So what this means is, like, your body's constantly adapting to this new stimulus, and it adapts super quickly to it, and it loses adaptations to other stimulus that you had maybe before if you quit doing that exercise. Therefore, you need to constantly vary what you're doing and work on different modes of exercises to keep the body guessing and to keep the new stimulus coming, so you're making new adaptations, new gains. If not, you're just going to plateau, and you won't get anywhere. You won't get any bigger muscles. You won't get any faster if you just keep doing the same program over and over again. And I think this could be applied to BJJ training. If you're just drilling all the time, then you're going to plateau. If you're just doing ecological training all the time, then you're going to plateau. You need to mix in both methods of training, do something different, work on a different skill. It's just so you don't plateau, And so you can do this by either working on different skills, implementing either drilling or implementing ecological, going harder, going a little bit slower. There's so many ways to switch up training, so to bust through plateaus. And, you should do both to keep training interesting, keep it fun, keep it playful. Ultimately, the best training method is the one you enjoy to do the most. So if you like ecological better, do ecological. If you like drilling, do drilling. Honestly, whatever you think's best for you, whatever you think works best for you, do it. Not one size fits all. Everybody's different. Everybody needs a different amount of each thing, So, yeah, I'm going to continue to utilize both and apply it to my BJJ. Let me know what you guys think is the best method for you. Let me know your experience or what you like to do, and I'll see you chads next time, all right? Adios.